Please join me in welcoming Bob and Barry to our virtual stage.
Hey, Barry, good to see you again.
Good seeing you, Bob, and excited to hear you discuss the challenges that you guys experienced, and more or less more interested to hear about how you guys solved those and are proceeding forward.
It's really been a very interesting ride for us. To give you a little background, we started with QNexus early in 2018, and we quickly discovered that it's not the things you know that are a problem, it's the things that you don't know that are a problem. And we embarked on this with the idea that all we had to do was load up the software and start making digital offers to people, and the loans would just begin to flood in. And we ran our first campaign, and we generally run a campaign for about 6 weeks. And we launched our first one and put 25,000 names in of our very best customers. And we got the dead cat bounce. Really didn't do very much at all. And we got maybe a dozen applications, and half of those pulled through. And we all kind of looked at each other and said, wow, that was no fun. So we decided that we really needed to figure out what was going on. And we joined the user group that QNexus had going on. And from there, it's been an upward glide path ever since.
So I guess, Bob, that's a great kind of segue in. So maybe if we could take one step back for the folks who aren't familiar with First American or yourself, could you maybe just give us just a high level overview of who you guys are and what space you primarily play in?
We have been historically a home equity lender. That's kind of been what we do on the consumer side for 25 years. We're comfortable with it. We're in some really nice markets in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Florida. And we made a lot of hay for a lot of years in the home equity world. But we kind of saw the demand starting to wane a little bit. And we were kind of concerned that maybe the home equity business had run its course. And what we really found out was that for 25 years, we were home equity lenders, and we were making offers to the same customers over and over and over again. And we went back and looked at our demographics of our customers. And we found out that we really skewed to the older consumer. 50 plus was kind of our wheelhouse. And that kind of got us thinking about, why don't we have any millennials or Gen Xers, or however you want to describe them? But it became fairly obvious to us that we were living on a customer base that was aging. And as people age, they tend to borrow less, they tend to be more secure financially, and the demand just kind of naturally dissipates. And that was really, for us as an organization, a watershed moment. We really had to look inside ourselves and say, how did that happen? And then we got involved with the campaign with QNexus, and that didn't do horribly well the first time out. And we began having conversations internally and with your staff at QNexus and the user group folks, and really just kind of found out that we were ignoring this really huge market segment by not offering really anything digitally. So I think the real lesson, the big lesson that the bank learned, was that you need to offer ways that customers are going to do business the way customers want to do business, and not just the way that you want to do business. And that became quite challenging. We really decided that we needed to say, okay, we need to go after this segment, and this segment, and each of those segments needed to be approached in an entirely different way. So I think that for us was the big aha moment.
So prior to that, Bob, so one of the things you mentioned, so you guys kind of had this realization that something's got to change and we've got to take this more digital approach. Previously to that, how were you guys, I guess, excelling and executing on these home equity programs and the lending process in general?
That's a very long timeline, but to kind of, condense it a little bit, it really became an issue of where initially we were doing mailers and we were making outbound phone calls and not using email to its full capability, nor were we using online banking or web banking or any of those things as a marketing tool. So we were reliant really on old school approach to kind of new school customers. So we were relying on mail, and we were relying on some outbound marketing, and we were relying on that, hey, they're our customers, and our customers love us, and our customers are going to naturally gravitate toward us. And that really turned out to be a flawed approach for us. And I think we realized as a result of that first campaign, hey, look, this needs to be holistic. It needs to be full spectrum if you're going to hit the marketplace to any great degree at all and kind of grow with the market.
So I guess tactfully then, what was the change? So I guess you guys had this aha moment, you implemented what you thought would fix it to realize that maybe you were just adding on another layer to a traditional process. So what is the post-traditional First American Bank process look like now today?
Well, it's evolved. And I think every organization needs to evolve, and technology, of course, changes as we're talking. So I think the first thing we learned was that you needed to have that multi-approach to what your marketplace looks like, and going back and pulling some demographics and looking at those customers and seeing what your age groups fall in and seeing how many are homeowners, and then looking at credit scores, which are readily available in the marketplace by all the credit bureaus. And there's so much knowledge you can gain out there that we simply weren't utilizing. And now it's highly digital. It's online banking. It's on the platforms that are all available. It's email, and it's Yext, and it's Google, and all of those things. The interesting part for me was that we learned not too awful long ago that, we were dependent on realtors for a lot of referrals until we kind of got behind it. And a few of us went out and bought houses and figured out that, hey, we already picked out the house we thought we wanted before we even contacted the realtor, and we did it all online. So it's hard to answer the question because, learning is an evolutionary process.
Right.
And the real lesson for us was that you need to challenge what your old conventions are. That if you're not looking at what you're doing and you're not talking with others who are kind of doing those kind of things, it's pretty easy to get kind of left in the dust.
So one of the things I had read about in the case study was, for the size bank, you guys have a pretty extensive branch network. I think there's 60 branches across 3 different states, from Florida to Illinois to Wisconsin. Can you maybe expand a little bit on, so we're talking, obviously everything is digital and proactive and online and mobile. Where does the branch and those teams fit into this whole mix?
That really is kind of the glue that holds everything together. When COVID hit, which was a game changer for us as well as for almost every other industry out there, we found that we had, and of course our branches were shut for a while. So we had a bunch of staff members, and we decided that let's start to use that outreach, that those people have that spare time because they weren't in the branches anymore. And we put a campaign together, and we put banners on our core so that when we get a call inside the branches, because they were now customer service, the banner would show up that there were offers out there available. We incented them to make that offer and to reinforce it. And that was a game changer. That kind of changed how we looked at the QNexus system and how we kind of looked at digital marketing as a whole. We thought you just hey, put it out there. The customers are going to stumble over it and they're just going to be so happy to do business with you. But you need to do some email marketing and you need to have it on the platform, and you need to have your branch people know that the offers exist because they have relationships and they are talking to your customers more than you ever realize.
Yeah.
So when we brought those all together, we found that we were having really meaningful conversations with our customers and discovering needs.
Right.
So for us, the QNexus platform wasn't really about making offers in a digital world. It was about making offers in a digital world with a reason to have conversations with your customers and do needs discovery.
Right. Yeah, so I imagine for you all, I mean, that's really the kicker, is to have that open opportunity for them to come to you, to have that discussion and realize that it is of interest to them. It's personalized to them. It's in their credit spectrum, and now having that opportunity to do some traditional solution selling, but having them engage with you instead of being, reversed to where you're essentially cold calling on them.
Yeah, that was a tough phone call for branch people to make, to just call up a customer who you knew was a good borrower, a worthy customer, and hey, is there anything I can help you with? And that went nowhere. Now, as the calls came into customer service, they knew the offer was out there. So they could, at some point in the conversation, weave that in pretty easily and know that the customer was going to be approved. We really have found out that branch people, and I don't blame them, they don't like a tough conversation. And to have to call a customer back that you know real well and say, I'm sorry, but your loan was declined. A lot of people who are in the branches, especially, and most people, I think, you want to make an offer and you want to extend good news, knowing that that good news is deliverable.
Yeah.
And that whole cloud just lifted now that they were pre-qualified and pre-selected. So the branches, instead of not wanting to have a conversation about a loan because they were afraid the customer was going to get declined, were looking for banners on the core as they took incoming calls, and there was an incentive laid over the top of it. They were looking to that deal as an opportunity to do something for their customers, and quite honestly, earn a few dollars along the way in a spiff.
Yeah, I think the new title of this this discussion should be how you guys leveraged a digital first strategy, but put a human spin on it. I mean, that's where it seems like that was the turning point for you, when you took essentially a tool and then put the human power behind it and really aligned it with them and the client. That's where it seems like everything started to connect for you guys, and the results are clearly phenomenal for you all.
I would totally agree. I think what we found out is that if you give your branch people and your outbound salespeople, or any salespeople, a viable subject that's deliverable, they really run towards the light instead of away from it.
Right.
And it gives you a chance to interact with your customers, it's tough in these day and time. Everybody is just hit over the head with emails. They're hit over the head with all sorts of marketing materials. But if it's your bank, and most particularly your banker, because there's so many relationships out there who want to have the conversation with you, that's a whole different complexion.
So would you, so one of the things, did you find, so you talked about one of your sources of, new home equity and mortgages was through that realtor type of network. Did you find that this was able to, I guess, reduce the risk and the dependency on that network because you can source them out from your own customer network?
I think that's happening by itself in the marketplace because people are gravitating towards online house looking and searching. And the realtor, from our perspective, really gets involved after they've narrowed it down to a couple of houses. So it helped you interact with the customer even on those websites. You know, that's one of the other side benefits that we kind of figured out was, look at, instead of marketing to our customers through an email that they're probably never going to read or gets kind of hung up in their spam folder, you can begin to advertise on Zillow and Redfin and all of those kind of places. And, you know, that's where your customers are going to do their initial searches anyway.
Right.
So it hasn't eliminated it, but it certainly has just added this big layer of additional opportunity on top of it.
So as we look at the slide here for the folks who are hearing this now, so it looks like clearly we talk a lot about you know, the home equity and the mortgages, which I do want to discuss a little bit here. Any other products that you guys are personalizing and proactively presenting to your consumers other than those products?
We will try any product under almost any circumstances to your very best customers, because we have stopped attempting to try to figure out what a customer's need is. Right. What we now say is, hey, give your very best customers a bona fide offer and then look for an opportunity to talk to them about it, because it's a needs discovery discussion. It's not a, hey, I've got a car loan special, so you need to go out and buy a new car. You can't take a customer who's not interested in buying a new car and make him want to go do it.
Yeah.
You know, all you can really do is have a really meaningful discussion with your customers about something that's good news, which is a pre-qualified loan offer for anything, Barry. Yep. You know, a credit card, a home equity loan, unsecured loan. You don't know what their needs are, but it's a springboard and it's a catalyst to begin to have conversations with people that you can ultimately discover what their needs are. And one of the interesting things for us that just, it boggles my mind is, and I suppose the market helped us a bunch here, but the refi boom hit in 20 and, you know, we were all full, but we didn't offer a first mortgage in the platform for QNexus. But yet we did $30 million worth of first mortgage business that we can trace directly back to a QNexus offer that wasn't a first mortgage offer. We just got to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think it actually hits on a personal experience I had. So an account I opened up recently with another bank, we have our mortgage with them, and I can clearly tell they use a product, the next best offer type of model, because the next thing going on in my life was we're getting ready to add on a garage, and I'm in my mind I'm thinking, do I do a home equity? Do I do a credit card? Do I just do cash? And when I contacted the bank, they wanted to talk to me about opening a checking account with them. And immediately I just tuned out. I was like, you've already just isolated me to this one thing. If you just could have come to me and said, hey, Barry, we know you're already credit qualified. We know your relationship with us. Here's the menu of offerings that are within your hub. Let us help educate you on what the best option is. And it sounds like you guys picked right up on that.
Yeah, what those options are you know, worthy, and you may have an offer that absolutely nails what their current need is. But what you really discover is that there's so many needs out there, and people have their own ideas about how they want to do it. Yeah. That if you can engage them in that discussion, you've done a pretty amazing thing in today's marketplace. You've gotten your best customers to talk to you about what their current needs are. And if that's not the business we're in, then we need to get out of it. That's really what we do as an industry, is try to do needs discovery and then meet it. So we don't think of the platform so much as, hey, set it and forget it, and make the offers, count the money when everybody presses the accept button, and cha-ching, cha-ching. It really is a simple way that's so amazingly effective to have a conversation with your customer about an offer, but you can't get kind of honed in on that offer, because that is 95% of the time not where their need is. It's just a really good vehicle to begin to have a really good conversation about what's going on in their lives.
Well, this has been fantastic, Bob. So I'm looking at our time. I'm sure we could continue on. Kudos to you guys and for having the vision to take a digital mobile approach and then layer in the human attributes to it, because I think that's what every local community lender wants to do. So kudos to you guys again, and thanks for sharing your expertise with the session today.
It was enjoyable to be here. It was good to see you again. And I'm looking forward to the chats that we can have with anybody who's involved in the conference and see if we can interact a little bit with them as well.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.